Alright, so this will be my first video in the series about my military career. So I was raised in a very conservative family, but it was I'm only child, so I had no siblings, just me and my parents. My dad was a career veteran. He served in Army National Guard my entire life. He retired after 33 years as a major. He was a medic, and then I think he did some intelligence and that kind of stuff down in Indianapolis. But he was definitely a career soldier. Both my grandparents, my grandpas served. I don't know how far back that goes, but it's considered a Christian family and a lot of military men in my background. I hadn't really considered the military growing up. I actually was kind of jaded about it because the 1 week a month and 2 weeks in summer pulled Dad away from a lot of things that I was involved in growing up, so I was a little jaded about that. But throughout junior high and high school, I became a really good musician. I played the saxophone in every way I could, jazz band, marching band, concert band, all kinds of stuff. I even taught private lessons for a while. My senior year of high school, during one of our camps, a recruiter came to help out. He was a saxophone player and was just helping out with marching band for 2 weeks. And he and I hit it off, became really good friends, and he convinced me to audition for the Army band. I did. I went in, auditioned with a colonel, and there wasn't even a hesitation. I nailed the audition, and they said, if you want to join the Army, we'd love to have you. So I talked all about it with my dad and decided that, the college money, and he shared a lot of experiences in the Army that I didn't know about yet. And I said, this is 1999, so nothing really significant happened in a very long time. We were at peace. That's pre 9/11. And so 2 days before Christmas in 1998, my dad and I went down to Chicago, and I enlisted without my mom's permission. That was interesting. She was not happy about it, but I decided it was what I wanted to do. From there, I went to basic training the day after I graduated high school. I trained with the Army band for the remainder of my senior year, and then after I returned from basic training, I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky. And I went to college, and I drilled with the Army band. But instead of the 2 weeks in the summer, they spaced those days out throughout the year for various performances and stuff. And so I was making multiple trips to Indianapolis, which was pretty far from where I was going to school. And so I had to leave at like 4 in the morning a lot. And on my journey to drill one weekend, I fell asleep at the wheel. I was getting drowsy and thought, okay, there's another small town about 5 miles up. I'll stop and stretch my legs there. And I didn't make the 5 miles. I fell asleep with my cruise control on and drove straight off a bridge, and somehow walked away. That completely demolished my car. But I was able to just walk away completely unscathed. And I walked to the nearest town. It's before I had cell phones. So I had to walk to the nearest town, find a gas station, use their phone to call my dad. couldn't get me. And at that point I decided that I didn't know if the band was really what I wanted to do. It was too much of a strain on my time, and I really wasn't enjoying it like I thought I would. But I had a 6-year enlistment. They gave me a automatic promotion 2 ranks because my experience in band and my performance level. So I immediately was promoted, even before basic training. But anyway, so I started looking into other ways I could serve and fulfill my contract. And there was a combat unit, combat engineers, just up the road from my house. And I talked to them and decided I'd switch units. So I went from being a saxophone player to a combat engineer. Combat engineers do various jobs, but this one was particularly in demolitions and explosives. And for the remainder of my 6-year enlistment, after my first year, so 5 years, I spent with them. I had to go to another training school for a few weeks to learn that job, and then drill with them the remainder of my career. And that takes me up to 2024, or 2004, where we got our warning orders that we might be deployed. I will go over that in the next video, but this was just an introductory video about how I got to be a combat engineer and why I enlisted. The 6-year enlistment was up that year of 2004. So once we got our orders, they said you're on what's called stop loss, which means that no matter what, you're staying in. So I fulfilled my 6-year enlistment. I was considering getting out. They said you don't have a choice. So that created a lot of issues for me. I was bitter about that, but let's talk about that more later. But yeah, at this point I have the orders. I might be going overseas, and I will talk about that in the next video. So thanks for watching.